So you can't really see it, but the purple people eater's in there. And outside you can't really tell the intensity of the LED light, but when they tell you in the instruction manual to not look directly at the light, they are not joking. That thing will blind you. But it does make it nice to where when it's right outside you can kind of see the reflection of it right off of the battery in there. And when you're inside with the grips on, you can easily see what mode you're changing. We have it set up now for ramping at 10.5. Obviously no eyes, so those are disabled. No paints in it yet, but seems to work great, and we'll get to testing it over the chrono here. Yeah. At the end, we are showing 10.7 on the Virtue as the rate of fire. So even though it was set at 10.5, it's going a little faster than what it was stated. So my final thoughts on the Purple People Eater by Zero X Technologies is, for the price and what you get out of this thing, it's a no-brainer. Does the Enoch have more settings? Sure. Is it easier to adjust the settings? Yeah. The fact that you can use their cell phone app and do all of your rate of fire, your eye settings, dwell ramp, and just different modes, it's easier to do. The Enoch is also more expensive. I think it's about $50 more expensive. With the Purple People Eater, you're going to get a board that fits right in here without having to make any modifications to your trigger frame. No more grinding to get that 9-volt to stick in there. With that said, you're also going to get quality wire harnesses. You also get to use your switch now. Instead of with the proto boards, you don't get to utilize those anymore. You have to use the buttons on the back. Right out of the box, comes with a lot to use. You get a data port with it to do any custom coding you want if you are into that. The one thing I will say is you really can't hear the micro switch. It's so soft that I can't hear it actuate unless I pull the trigger quicker. It's just a really lightweight micro switch. Not a big deal. When you're shooting it, it feels fantastic. I did put a tiny trigger return spring in there so I could get a little bit more of a pushback on it. I just like it to be a little more crisp. That's personal preference. I'm sure they could get stronger micro switches in the future. So as far as that bright light, this sucker is bright. For the value, you can probably get a proto board, PM7, the PMR Virtue boards. Those are pretty popular. Usually you can get them anywhere between $45 and $50. Then when you get a battery harness micro switch with it, those are usually about $8. And then you can make your own mounting system for it, or you can just kind of grind and go at it. Or you can buy more of a 3D printed one that's going to cost you around $14, I believe. And you're basically right at the cost of the Purple People Eater. I believe they're $75 right now. You're going to get the battery harness with it. You're also going to get the power switch with it, which is, in my mind, a huge plus because you can actually use the switch on the back of the LCD. I really like that. Don't get me wrong, I'm still a huge Enoch fan as well. The availability is just a little harder on those right now. I mean, I use an Enoch and a Viking with an A1 frame. I use it in my dark. I do have an extra single trigger frame that I do have a Virtue board in. So far, I think it's a fantastic value for being able to bring an Angel back to life without having to use the pricier Enoch board, without having to search for proto boards to squeeze in there and modify and rig up. It'll also fit a 90-degree frame. There are break-off tabs on the board themselves, so you can just break off the tab that you need to fit inside your grip frame. I think the Zero X Technologies did a great job. You can order them on their website. It is zeroxtechnologies.com, the Purple People Eater board.